الله بالقصد الثاني والتفات التبعي المتأتي من كل واحد ولا حجر لصاحب استعداد الخوض في لجة الشهود أن يخوض بل ذلك منبه له أتم تنبيه
إلى آخره. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على نبي الكريم محمد وآله وأصحابه أجمعين. Once again, the brief summary of what we studied before, that Imam Rahmatullah Alayh is talking about the secrets of prayer. So he says that naturally human is inclined towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because of a shining jewel, Latifai Nurani, which has been placed by Allah in His nature. But as we mentioned in chapter before, that with dirty practices and evil deeds, that Latifa Nuraniya or that jewel, it becomes filthy and dirty and it does not shine. So the person concerned is not inclined towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Because his light is not working. His torch is not working. It does not give him the direction. So Imam Rahmatullah Alayh mentioned that to keep it shining, one has or one must avoid evil deeds, not to have filth on that jewel or on that light. And number two, to practice good deeds to increase its shining, so he will be inclining more towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now what are the good deeds? So the good deeds are the ibadat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for furthermore polishing and making that jewel shining, the ibadat. And in ibadat, the utmost highest quality of category of ibadah or shape of ibadah is salat. So Imam Rahmatullah Alayh says, salat is also a natural requirement. But in this regard, the people are of three categories. The first category is those who by nature, they are attracted to Allah. By nature, they are attracted to Allah. So you can call them people of good nature, that they are attracted to Allah. The second categories are those who heard of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, that he spoke about prayer, that will take you close and near to Allah. So he takes the word of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam wholeheartedly and he prays. The first one, because of his nature, he prays. The second one, because of the khabar and the news given by Mukhbir Sadiq sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he prays. And there is a third category, and that third category like us. These are people who have been forced by Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam to do that. Our nature is not that good as the first category, and we are not that neat and clean to have it wholeheartedly. But at least we are Muslims, so we are praying because of that forcing of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So Imam Rahmatullah Alayh says, everyone, he is getting the benefit of the prayer. The first one in high category, A+. The second one in A. And the third one, maybe A- or B+, or certain other categories. But at least they are getting the benefit of that. For the third category, Imam Rahmatullah Alayh says, they are just like kids who do not know what is beneficial to us. So waking them up early in the morning, making them ready to take them to school, they don't like it. They are crying. But the parents, they know very well that in future, that will make their life. Got it? Or this profession will, or this skill will make their life. So they are forcing them and they do it, and later on they are getting the benefit. Otherwise, when that kid recall his mind, oh, when my father was slapping me, I wake up. Yes, you are getting late. Got it? So Imam Rahmatullah Alayh says that look, benefit he is getting as well. Now he is working as officer. Got it? Then Imam Rahmatullah Alayh says that's why it is said, As-salatu mi'rajul mu'minin. This is not hadith, but this is asar of a sahabi or a tabi'i, that as-salatu Mi'rajul Mu'mineen. What is Mi'raj? What sigha that is? Say. Ismi Allah. Yes. That is Ismi Allah. Mi'raj ala zinati mif'al. That is a tool. Yes, and Mi'raj literal meaning is the ladder. And with ladder, you are climbing up. So that Sahabi or Tabi'i said that Salat is the one you are climbing toward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with your prayer. As-salatu mi'rajul mu'mineen. So anyhow, now in Salat, first, Imam Rahmatullah alayhi said that three types of people, they are doing that, as we mentioned. And then he said that Salat is a combination of three types of ta'zeem of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is mentioned in Salat itself as well. At-tahiyyat lillahi was-salawat wat-tayyibat. So anyhow, there are three types, but beside those three types, in Salat there are three things. Number one, al-ibadah al-qawliya. Number two, al-ibadah al-badaniya. And before that, your aqidah, that is al-ibadah al-qalbiyah. So when somebody prays, he has the aqidah by heart. When he prays, so then he says things, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika wa tabarakasmuka wa ta'ala jadduka wa la ilaha ghayruk, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, ar-rahmanir rahim, maliki yawmiddin, Allahu akbar, sami'allahu liman hamida. All these wording are expression. That is ta'zeem, or magnification of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with words and with tongue. And number three, with jawarih and aza, with organs, also showing humbleness to Allah. So we are standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala like as the slaves are standing in front of his master or their master. Got it? So that is the less or the lesser type or lesser shape of tawazu and khuzu' and humbleness in front of Allah or submission in front of Allah. Then the second highest category, that is to bow down in front of Allah. And then the utmost highest is to put your head on the ground. So the more you are down in humbleness in front of Allah, the more you are going high to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Got it? You are going down, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is lifting you up. So Imam Rahmatullahi alayhi says that why a sha'ir or a poet said that afadatkumun na'ma'u minni salasatan. Afadatkumun na'ma'u minni salasatan. Lisani wa yadi wa damir al-muhajjaba. That because of your na'ma, because of your na'ma, your favors, your blessings. Oh, the people, he is addressing some people, that you have done a lot of favors to us. So because of those favors, these favors have given to you from our side three things. Number one, our hand. Number two, our tongue. Number three, our heart. That by heart, we do respect you. With tongue, we do appreciate you. With organs, we show humbleness in front of you. So Imam Rahmatullahi alayhi says that these are the three practices for magnification, and these are adopted there in prayer when you are praying. So now Imam Rahmatullahi alayhi says in this portion which Maulvi Yusuf recited, or he said it, وَإِنَّمَا جُعِلَتُ الصَّلَاةُ أُمُّ الْأَعْمَالِ الْمُقَرِّبَةِ دُونَ الْفِكْرِ فِي عَظَمَةِ اللَّهِ. Now look, somebody is thinking about the greatness of Allah or the majesty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that thinking is not considered great, but this practice is considered great. وَإِنَّمَا جُعِلَتِ الصَّلَاةُ أُمُّ الْأَعْمَالِ. And verily, the prayer has become in the meaning of asal. That is considered as the asal and the base of those amal and action, al-muqarriba, which will take you near to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Dun al-fikri fi azamatillah, not to think in the greatness of Allah. Yes, Their thinking is not taking you there close to Allah. وَدُونَ الذِّكْرِ الدَّائِمِ, and not to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala every time and doing his zikr, that cannot take you that close to Allah. Why? لأن الفكر الصحيح فيها لا يتأتى إلا من قوم عالية. Regarding the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, look at me. If you are thinking about the greatness of Allah, only the people who have a deep knowledge of deen, number one. Number two, they can focus on that thinking. Only they can get a little bit therefrom. A common layman, he cannot think about Allah, nor he can think about the greatness of Allah. He will get lost to somewhere. He will get lost to somewhere. You have seen some people, they are called majzoob. They are called what? Some of them, they are majzoob by nature. They are like in their own world. You are talking to them, they don't listen. Or some of them, they were common people, but later on, they started doing some muraqabat. They were doing some more, but they were common lay people. Depth of knowledge was not there. So when they started thinking about Allah, they got lost. So they are called majzoob. They are called majzoob. And majzoob means pulled towards Allah subhanahu. So they lose their sense. What they do? They lose their sense. Now they are sitting there on dirt, in freezing cold. Nothing happened to them. You talk to them, he doesn't understand. Sometimes he says something on his own, you don't understand what he says. Got it? Yes. So, common lay people, they cannot think about the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because that is beyond their approach. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, تَفَكَّرُوا فِي نِعَمِ اللَّهِ وَلَا تَفَكَّرُوا فِي ذَاتِهِ وَلَا صِفَاتِهِ. Think about the blessings of Allah, but do not think about the entity of Allah, nor the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why it is so? Because that is beyond your approach. If you are not a scholar in a specific science, in a specific field, and you start talking about that, what you will do is, so same is the case of thinking about the entity of Allah or about the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Imam says, لأن الفكر الصحيح, because the proper thing cannot but only من قوم عالية النفوس وقليل معهم, and they are very few in number. They are very few. The utmost pious personality after Anbiya, who is that? Abu Bakr radiyallahu ta'ala an. And this is known from Abu Bakr. When he was at night, he was doing ibadah and he was calling Allah and he was making dua. So his wording are, Yaman ghayatu ma'rifatihi al-qusuru an ma'rifatihi. Oh, the one whose utmost knowing is that somebody has to admit that I couldn't know you properly. Because the moment somebody will say, I knew Allah subhanahu, so it means the job is done. The job is done, it means that he limitized the entity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because he went to the end. So is the whole world can limitize Allah? No. Subhanahu wa ta'ala? Say? No. No. They can engulf the entity of Allah? No. The attributes of Allah? No. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that was Sadi said very beautifully. Who said? Sadi Shirazi. Ke e bartaras khayal wa qiyas o guman o waham. E bartaras khayal o qiyas o guman o waham. Was harche guftan de shunide mo khwan da aim. Daftar tamam gashto bapaya rasid umr. Maham chuni dar awwali wasfe tuman da aim. Or the one who is beyond our imagination, who is beyond our thinking and our zihn. Got it? Who is beyond our thinking and our fikr. Was harche guftan de shunide, and whatever the people said about him, we heard it. We heard it, and we learned it. We heard it and we learned. Daftar tamam gash. All the libraries are finished. We studied it about you, O Allah. All the libraries all over the world, that is finished, which is written about you. Daftar tamam gash. And the whole umr and life is gone. 100 years we passed and we were studying. But maham chuni dar awwali wasfi tuman da aim. But regarding your knowing, still we are in elementary. Maham chuni dar awwali wasfi tuman da aim. And that's what Sayyidina Ali raziyallahu ta'ala anhu says, and Imam Malik narrates. كل ما خطر ببالك أو جاء في خيالك أو في حال من أحوالك فالله وراء ذلك. Well, Ahmad, memorize it. You will memorize or not? Yes. كل ما خطر ببالك. You both should adopt Maulvi Uzair's sunnah. His sunnah is that he has that telephone. I don't know, because I don't know this technology that much, and he has a small thing, and when I'm giving bayan, so he is writing. Yes, that's a good way. Got it? Because the ulama says, al-ilmu saydun. Al-ilmu saydun. Wa kitabatuhu qaydun. That ilm and knowledge is just like the wild birds. And the wild, you see it, it flies. The wild animal, you see it, it runs away. If you want to have it, so you have to catch it and put it in a cage. Yes? So the ulama says that ilm and knowledge, they're just like that wild bird and wild animal. If you want to have it, وَكِتَابَتُهُ قَيْدٌ. So write it down. وَكِتَابَتُهُ قَيْدٌ. Yes, its cage is what? Kitabat, in writing. So anyhow, كُلُّ مَا خَطَرَ بِبَالِكَ أَوْ جَاءَ فِي خَيَالِكَ. What do you say? Write it down. كُلُّ مَا خَطَرَ بِبَالِكَ. Whatsoever is coming into your hearts about Allah, أَوْ جَاءَ فِي خَيَالِكَ, or came into your mind regarding Allah, أَوْ فِي حَالٍ مِّنْ أَحْوَالِكَ, or something about Him came in any condition of yours, فَاللَّهُ وَرَاءَ ذَلِكَ. Allah is beyond all that. Because if you say that I got it, so it means that you confined Him, you limitize Him. So e bartaras khiyal o qiyas o guman o wahm wazhar ch guftan de shuni de mo khwan de em daftar tamam gasht ba paya rasid umr ma hum chunin dar awwali wasfe tuman de em. So Imam Rahmatullah alayhi says wa siwa ulaika law khazu fihi. So now if they will die of their in knowing the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, taballadu. What? Taballadu. What taballadu mean?
To change the city?
No. Taballadu. Balid is someone who is foolish. That they will lose their aql. They will lose their aql. Taballud. They will become majzoob. They will become what? Majzoob. Taballadu. They will become balid. They will become what? Al-baladat is foolishness. So taballadu, they will become foolish. وَأَبْتَلُوا رَاسَ مَالِهِمْ, and they will lose their rasul mal and their capital, which is iman, because they will think about Allah wrong and they will lose their iman. Because for a moment, look at me, for a moment, what is his capital? Iman. He invested iman. That's why his prayer has a price. His fasting has a price. His good word has a price. Yes, because he has iman. So iman is actually the capital. All these are the hawashi of iman. All these are what? The hawashiyah. So if somebody, he is diving there, thinking in the greatness of Allah, without having the proper knowledge, so he will become foolish, number one, and he will lose his rasul mal. He will lose his iman and his capital. Fazlan an faidatin ukhra. He will never get any other faida. He will lose everything. وَالذِّكْرُ بِدُونَ أَن يَشْرَحَهُ وَيَعْضُدُ عَمَلٌ تَعْظِيمِيٌّ. And if somebody, look at me, yes, some people, we call them malang. What? So if malang is majzoob, okay, he's marful qalam, because the sense is not working. But some people, yeah, they made themselves malang. They are not praying. They don't make wudu even. Yes, and they are having the chars, the hashish. Yes, and then they say, Allahu, 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 la ilaha illahu. Got it? So Imam Rahmatullah alayhi said that zikr, bidun an yashrahuhu wa ya'dudu amalun ta'zimiyan, yes, ya'maluhu bi jawarihihi, without any amal which mean express the ta'zim of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now look, standing like this, what this amal of you express? The greatness of Allah. and your submission. What this amal of your expresses? The greatness of Allah and your submission. What you are putting your head on the ground, what it expresses? The greatness of Allah and the humbleness. So if the zikr is not made musharrah and mu'ayyad, adada ya'ududu, ayyada yu'ayyidu. ويعضده من دون أن يشرحه ويعضده أي يؤيده عمل تعظيمي. Without its تشريح and تعذيد and تأييد عمل تعظيميا with a تعظيمي عمل يعمل بجوارحه ويعنو في آدابها لقلقة خالية عن الفائدة. ويعنو في آدابها يعمل بجوارحه ويعنو في آدابها. عنا يعني عنا say يعني that is mean قصد and عنا يعنو عنا يعنو that's called مشقت. That's called what? مشقت. ذلك لمن خشي العنت منكم. So even though that anat is in the meaning of zina there, but that's not literal meaning of zina. Literal meaning of anat is لقد جاءكم رسول من أنفسكم عزيز عليه ما عنتم. What عنتم mean? Say من العنت وهي المشقة. من العنت وهي المشقة. So here ويعنو في آدابها, and he is putting himself in مشقت في آدابها, in the adab of that ta'zim of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and that amal. So without that لقلقة خالية على الفائدة. That is just like the sounding of a crane. You know crane? C-R-A-N-E. Laqlaqa is shivering wise. What? So that zikr Imam Rahmatullahi alayhi says, if somebody is not praying and he is zikr, so he said that's like a crane crying? Yes. Yes, laqlaqa is the crane sound. So laqlaqatun khaliyatun al-fa'ida fi haqq al-aktharin. In majority of people, they're just like the crane sound, having no any effect, but he will get lost. Wa sallallahu ta'ala ala khairi khalqihi Muhammadin wa alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin.